And good evening, everybody. Welcome to an all-new episode of Holotheatre. As always, I am Dan Tartaglione, also known as D Tartag1. So tonight we have a special interview with Garrett Larson. And again, that was I pre-recorded it yesterday with Garrett, as right now he's probably getting ready for, or probably at a concert in Minnesota. I believe he said he was going to Flogging Molly. So I guess that. Flogging Molly concert was a little bit more important than Holotheatre. I'm not going to give him too many issues for that. But so if you're not watching hockey, we have a really exciting show for you. Like I said, with that interview with Garrett, and also during tonight's show, at the end of it, after the interview with Garrett, I'm going to be giving away a prize. One of our Tier 4 donations. Recipients decided that he's not going to be using his free entry into a live event this year, so he has graciously offered to give it up to somebody during Holotheatre tonight. So just make sure if you're watching that you stick around for that. So we're going to do that at the end of the show, right after the interview with Garrett. But really quick, before we go into the interview and everything, let's see what's going on right now in the Star Wars CCG world. Okay, let's see. So right now our Father's Day fundraiser is right at the midpoint. So congrats to everybody who got their 12 games in. You'll be getting those I Am Your Father and Like My Father Before Me virtual slips here in a little bit. Right now we have a three-way tie up at the top. Greg Shaw, Connor Britton, and Timo Dussel all are 17-3. Again, it comes down to opponent's win percentage to break up the tie, with Greg sitting at the top, followed by Connor, followed by Timo. And then right behind him, and right behind those three are Pat Johnson, sitting with 52 points. Chris Hall, longtime watcher and good friend of the show, is sitting in 5th place, and followed by Chris Kelly. So Joker King actually might be able to overtake Pat here. He still has one more game to go. If he wins, he might overtake Pat as the 4 spot, but we'll have to watch and find out. A lot of players still have not reached the 20 games yet. Some players still have a chance to overtake. Looking at the list right now, Justin Miyashiro, if he can get 7 more wins, he could overtake Greg as the top spot. Looking on down the line a little bit. Lawrence Kraft is looking pretty good. Charlie Arlinson also looking okay. A little bit down the line, Tom, who we had on a couple of weeks ago. I think actually it's been about a month now. He's also looking pretty good. And then Taco Bill is also in contention as well. So let's keep an eye on our Father's Day event, see who finishes up those. And then turning our eyes over to the OCS for this month. No surprise, Justin Desai is really good at Star Wars cards, and he went 12-0. So congrats to Justin on going 12-0. I think this is the second time he's did it this year so far, but I mean that's really impressive right there. Gavin is sitting up in 2nd place right now at 10-2, followed by Matt Harrison Trainer and Timo Dussel. So a lot of big name players that we're used to seeing in the top 4 or 5 right there. Again, Connor Britton is sitting at 5, and then Jared Napolitano, he still has one more game to play. He could actually overtake Timo and Connor if he wins. So make sure you stay tuned to those. And again, Drew Lichtenstein also 7-1. But looking on down the lines, Ket Wall sitting at 5-0. Daniel Omar sitting at 4-0. So there's really nobody that I can look right now that might challenge Justin going 12-0, but I don't know. We could see what happens. Next up, the Jawa Brawl has been announced. If you're interested in participating in the Jawa Brawl, well, it starts one day after Nationals this year. Right now we have 21 players signed up for it. Again, if you're interested in signing up, all you got to do is fill out a Google Forms questionnaire. It is free, and please register by July 22nd, so that way we can get into these games and everything. So you do see that there is a little bit of leeway after there's like 5-day leeway. That's allow the stragglers into the event and get them going on in some of the plays. If you're looking for the current ban list, again, we Kendall and Bill and Jared Napolitano and everybody who's on the Jawa Council. I don't know if Jared's on the Jawa Council, but I know Kendall and Bill are. The current ban lists are Carbonite Chamber Testing, Shadow Collective, I Want That Map, Bring It Before Me, Holotheatre Operations, and Slip Sliding OAV. For the dark side. For the light side, Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, Master Qui-Gon Jinn Old Friend, Master Yoda. They have no idea we're coming, Old Allies, We Need a Legend, and Let the Wookiee Win V are all currently banned. So, again, looking at some of the other stuffs right now, it's going to be a 12-game tournament. So if you're interested, make sure you sign up for it. And then after that, looking at some of the prizes, because again, marketing has been crushing it right now with prizes. So let's take a look at see what some of the prizes are. You would get participation is a foil image to row. Look at that little guy. I like that. That's a cute little image. You can also get poker chips, Jump AI packs, random foil virtual slips, 2 random deck boxes to random participants, and 2 PC20 water bottles given out to random participants as well. Players must play in at least 10 games to receive prizes. And then based on performance, if you get first through fourth, you would get a XL, well, you would get your choices of Reflections 1 foil dark side uncut sheet, a sealed enhanced premiere pack with its Boba Fett Bounty Hunter, and then 1 of 2 PC XL deck boxes, and then there's some other prizes going out as well. Personally, I would choose the dark side uncut sheet. It would go, whoever wins, if you don't want it, let me know, because it would go with my light side foil uncut sheet. I would so love that, and I would be eternally grateful if somebody hooked me up with that. Not saying you have to give it to me. I mean, I would be willing to trade for it or whatever. So again, if you are in the chat tonight and you want a chance to win a free entrance into one event, make sure you stay tuned after our interview with Garrett Larson. We'll do a random number generator to see who's going to get the prize that is given away. But U.S. Nationals is right around the corner. It is 1 month from today. Currently, we have 11 people signed up, including Matt Lutz, Mike Kessling, Greg Shaw, Daniel Detlaw, Kyle Kruger, Matt Wadden, Brian Fred, Casey, Joe Olson, Matt Scott, and Mark Walsett. I know there's going to be a lot of other people who are going to be signing up for this, so if you are interested in going, and if you win the free entrance tonight, this could be a good tournament for you to get into and participate. It's going to be a really good time. Right now, I know that unfortunately Chris Schoenthal's not going to be able to go, and he's not going to be our tournament director. We'll talk about a little bit with that with Garrett here in a few, but it's going to be a good time. Minnesota is a really good spot. There's a really nice tournament scene up there, as well as a lot of good people up there. I'm not going to mention the COVID protocols are there. Make sure you follow them. Please, we don't want any issues. As somebody who is vaxxed and got COVID after Endor, please follow the protocols. I don't want anybody coming back and dealing with COVID for a week. It's not fun. So please make sure that the protocols are there for everybody's safety. But there's a lot of other things going on. Casey is trying to form up a group of players who would want to go to a Twins game that Friday instead of going into the team tournament. The hotel is not the hotel that it has been. It is a new hotel. Again, Garrett and I talked about that a little bit. And then, yeah, it's going to be a great time. Make sure everybody, if you're interested in going, please go. And then coming on down the line a little bit later is Worlds in October down in Atlanta. So we'll talk about that as the year progresses and we get past nationals and everything. So let's go ahead and get into the interview with Garrett. And then it is about a 40-minute long interview. I'll be back right after that so we can give away the winner. Please, if you're in the chat and you want to have a chance to win, just say hi. That's all you got to do for your chance to win. I'll put some information up on the screen. And then, if you want a chance to win, I will number everybody 1 through whatever, how many people we have. And then I'll do a random number generator. And we'll see who wins. So, but that will be again right after this interview. So everybody stay tuned, and I'll be right back right after this interview. Okay, everybody. So here I am sitting with Mr. Garrett Larson, Deadbody on at least Slack. Are you Deadbody on GEMP as well?
Deadbody on GEMP, Deadbody on the forums. It's a username that sounds really cool when you're 18 and a little cringy when you're 42, but you've used it for so long, you can't really get rid of it. So
yeah, I know the feeling. I've been DTartag1 since day 1 of the forums, I think. I might have changed the name once or twice, but it's just stuck with me since as long as I can remember.
Yep.
So we're interviewing you today because you are the tournament director for Minnesota Nationals 2020.
2022.
2022. Yeah, you know what? Ever since COVID started, like I've literally it's just felt like one big long year.
Oh, and I totally get that. I'm mentally trying to think now. I'm like, did we even do anything in 2020? Like, I think 2020 might have been when I came back to the game. Was that 2020 Worlds on GEMP was probably my first, because I'd kind of retired for a while, and then sitting home and having nothing to do, I took another look at GEMP and was like, holy cow, this is so much better than online play used to be.
Yeah, the dark days of Holotheatre. Like, don't get me wrong, Holotheatre was a good starter and everything. Like, it was a good intro to online play, but just the clunkiness to it and the learning curve just made it almost a challenge. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked it because once we released cards, it was on there almost instantaneously. Like, it was so easy that way. But the other thing was you had to know what the cards did. Like on GEMP, it's nice because the cards, the program tells you kind of like what they do, but no, it's gotten so much better. So let's start off by talking so you said you retired for a little bit. What initially brought you into the game?
So I actually started buying cards when Premier was the only set. I was working in a mall, and I'd go and take my breaks at a little card shop called Coach's Corner.
Okay.
And they had Star Wars cards. And I was a Star Wars fan, and I'm like, these are cool. And I have teenager money. Fuck it, I'm going to buy some. And me and a buddy started buying packs. We didn't know how to play the game. We didn't do anything with them. We just, probably spent a couple $100 between us on packs and decided to learn how to play. And that would have been in 97.
Okay.
And when we finally decided, well, let's learn how to play. And my high school graduation, the day after my high school graduation, me and my buddy went and played in our first sanctioned tournament ever. And it was the only one he ever played in. And I just kept playing. And played all through, through the loss of the license, through the first few virtual sets, was an advocate for a real short minute. And then kids got older, stuff kind of gets in the way, and ended up selling my cards to a local at the time. And like, nope, I think I'm out of this. And came back a couple of years ago just because I always loved the game. I stayed active on the forums. I stayed, kind of active in the community and knew people. And I missed the game. I played Destiny for a little bit, and my daughter played Destiny with me, and that kind of died locally. And it's like, GEMP was such a thing. I can just go on and play.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a huge thing for me during COVID, like finding that and be like, hey, I gotta, because we're pretty cautious about going out for a long time. One of my kids is diabetic, so we were super cautious for a long time until everyone got vaccinated. Like, I don't want them getting sick. And So being able to just, hey, I can fire up a game when I just want to relax and want to do something. And I've been struggling getting my ass kicked a whole bunch because I used to be good at the game, and now I'm not.
So have you taught your kids how to play the game at all? Like, I know you said you were a daughter and you played
No,
Destiny, but
I'm a terrible teacher. Like I'm way too type A, way too winning Walt to teach something as complex as Star Wars,
okay.
and they really don't want to learn. Like my oldest talked about it a little bit. He's almost 24 now, and he looked at it a little
Wow.
bit back when I was playing, and just it was more complicated than he wanted to deal with learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then my younger two, no interest. Danica played My Little Pony with me and played Star Wars Destiny. Like that was what got me back into cards. I'd retired
Oh
from
wow.
all card games for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
then and I've told this story before, and I've told it on the forums too. I traveled a lot. Used to travel a lot for work, and I always bring my kids home a little present. Like that was something my mom always did, and I always thought it was a fun like this is a fun way to say, hey, Dad missed you. Dad was thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked my kid because at the time Danica was a big fan of My Little Pony. Like that was the hot thing
Mm-hmm.
for the 10-year-old girl sect. And I hit a Target and they had starter decks of My Little Pony. And I was like, you know what? I can buy this for her.
Okay.
It's 2 decks. We're probably going to play it 5 times, but it's $20. Like, fine,
Yeah.
I'm going to buy this. I'm going to bring it home. This is Dad's thinking of you. We can spend daddy daughter time. And it turned out to be a shockingly good game. Like,
Okay.
it was made by a bunch of Farmer Decipher guys. So it
Hmm.
played a lot like the best combo of you take the good parts of Young Jedi and the good parts of Lord of the Rings and kind of clump them together.
Okay.
And it actually played shockingly fun. And Danica really enjoyed it. So we started going to tournaments and stuff. And then that scene kind of died because, I mean, it's My Little Pony and the company that was doing it just didn't know how to support tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was My Little Pony. Like when I'm the most socially well adjusted person in the tournament, you got issues. Like,
I'm not gonna touch that.
and so, kind of about the same time that died, I heard about Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
and Danica and I went to a couple of the pre-release things, and I was like, it's fine. It involves dice. I wasn't super sold on it right at the beginning, but she really enjoyed it. So
Mm-hmm.
we started playing, and there were tournaments locally and stuff. So she got me back into playing a lot of tournaments and kind of got that itch going. And now she's 16 and way too cool to play cards and busy as heck. I mean, she plays travel lacrosse and is,
Oh wow. Yeah.
their schedule, her schedule's busy as heck. And that's part of why GIMP is great for me because it's like I can play, you know, devoting a day for a 6 game tournament is rough. I'm doing a few
Mm-hmm.
of them this summer, but like that's a stretch versus it's 9 o'clock. I can fire up and get one game in. So, so now I'm back and having fun.
See, I mean, that's good. So, and I'm guessing because you're back and everything, and after taking some time off, you decided, the local scene in Minnesota is really good. Why not? Like, who got in touch with you? Like, I know you're in charge of everything as for Minnesota Nationals and everything. So, who got in touch with you, or did you reach out to somebody in regards to running the tournament?
So I've been part of the tournament committee for years and years. Like I said, I
Mm-hmm.
was the tournament advocate prior to Chris when and
Okay.
frankly, I was not well suited for being an advocate. I'm happy as hell Chris is doing it. He's done a much better job than I ever could have, but I never really completely disengaged. And Chris and I started talking when they talked about doing nationals here. I said, hey, I can help run this. And I'd helped schedule the John Anderson Memorial a few years
Okay.
back. So I've been involved in that before. And I said, I can, help with the schedule stuff. And then Chris approached me and said, hey, he's not going to be able to make it. Would I be able to run it?
Mm-hmm.
And, I've run big tournaments for that. Like I was one of the judges for Worlds for Destiny. I've done, I helped run the John Anderson Memorial. I've done big tournaments before. So I said, yeah, I can do
Mm-hmm.
that. And I ran tournaments for years here before Walseth kind of took over running his stuff locally when I stepped back. So it's not going to be my first rodeo.
Okay, that's good. So you mentioned wall sets. So Jared proposed this question on our little Holotheatre portion of Slack and everything. He wanted to know, is there a difference between like the old school Minnesota players and the players that grew up through Walset's teachings? I would say. Like,
I
have you
mean,
noticed anything like a difference between those two?
yeah, there are no old school Minnesota players. The crew is now Walseth. It's just some of those old school guys are original Walseth
Mm-hmm.
guys, like Charlie Arlinson, who you guys would, definitely would be like, oh, he's an old school Minnesota. No, Charlie came up from Walseth's program way back in the day. Walseth has been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm probably the only, other than Mark, I'm probably the only old school Minnesota non-Rosemount guy left. Like everyone else kind of, it just drifted away over time, as lots of folks have done,
Mm-hmm.
and some have talked about coming back. Like I hung out with Graham Neal not that long ago, and he thought it was, he's like, it's awesome to hear Star Wars is still going, and
Yeah.
talked about Gemp, and like Jim Lee's still around, but he doesn't really play a lot anymore. It's just kind of, the community now is Walseth and the folks he's built and brought to the community and nurtured for all these years, and kept that steady supply
Mm-hmm.
of people going. So it makes me feel old. Like when I go into tournaments and I'm like, all these people who I remember used to be kind of near my age, and now like,
Yeah.
I'm playing against Logan, who's the same age as my middle child.
Yeah.
And Walseth's got a batch of 8th graders, and I love them, and I love the enthusiasm, but it's just like, y'all, I'm old now. This isn't what I need.
Well, I mean, so play styles wise, like I know Walseth doesn't like to play your stereotypical meta decks and everything. Like he busts out like the weirdest stuff that we've ever seen. I mean, it's like there's Scott weird, but then Mark just tops everybody when it comes to weird. Do you notice that with all like the players that he's putting out there?
No, the players he's putting out there, the first couple, like their first year, they're usually running on limited card pools,
Mm-hmm.
and really, so like they're playing weird cards. Like he did a tournament, oh gosh, it was about 3 weeks ago, where the veteran players played a game with the kids' decks that they built, and it was premiered through Death Star 2. And like, I get to play Prophet with a shit ton of musicians. I ended up moving a guy away because his Bear Quinn Dan was there too, and it made me just enough musicians to move it away. Ability 4 guy, and it was like a bunch of cards I'd never used because they just, they're not
Mm-hmm.
those power cards. But as the kids mature, a lot of them do tend into playing the more meta style decks.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most interesting part of watching the Rosemount crew, like the premiere to Death Star 2 format, I went with Hunt Down, and I'm like,
Okay.
this is solid. The only deck I don't really want to face is Hidden Base, because that's just a slog game. Like if they get out of commission early, this could end up
Yeah.
bad. Well, it turned out basically all of that crew was on some form of Hidden Base. I managed to dodge all of them, and didn't play. But it was just like there's kind of a group thing sometimes you see from like playtest groups,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you see it in like some of our teams and stuff. Like a lot of them will be bringing kind of similar decks and similar ideas, and Rosemount, the kids who all kind of they play together and definitely sort of feed into that
Mm-hmm.
at times. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like they still are playing more games now than I played even at the height of playtesting when I was trying to play a bunch of games, because even then I was still an adult and had responsibilities, and they would be like, dude, it's summer, like I got a part-time job and that's it.
Yeah.
I hate you all. That's
So let's talk about this Minnesota Nationals and everything. So, like you said, you helped run the John Anderson Memorial Tournament back in the day, like a couple of years ago. Uh,
Yep.
how does it feel getting back into the tournament director's shoes?
Um, Honestly, I'm comfortable with it. Like I spent a lot of time locally being the director and player.
Mm-hmm.
And like with Destiny, I took over pretty quickly being kind of the local guy to run tournaments. Like I love playing the game. I love getting to play the game with friends, but
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy, and especially with COVID keeping, like I work from home 100% now and like kind of losing some of that socialization, like being able to be there and like, hey, I don't have to focus on playing my deck and making sure I don't make mistakes and figuring out like what my next matchup
Mm-hmm.
is. I could just be here and BS with everybody and have fun and hang out and run the event so everybody else is having fun instead of worrying about making sure I play my best.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a different. I still like playing in events. Like I'm planning to come out to Worlds, and
Nice.
then I'll definitely be playing again. And like, okay, I'm going to be focusing on trying to play. But running events is just a whole different kind of animal and different
Oh yeah.
way to behave, and it can be a lot of fun. Like just being able to like, hey, I get to see people, hang out. It's the community is so good because everybody's a little bit older now. I'm not expecting this isn't going to be like a, Magic tournament where we're all playing for tens of thousands of dollars and I'm going to worry about, 20 different angles being shot on every thing. Like we're here to play fun, play a fun game and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfect. And if, me being the TD helps facilitate that instead of me coming out as a player, then I want to facilitate that. So
So how is the family taking it that you're essentially going to be gone for 3 days over like the course of a weekend? Are they cool with that?
I've been married 24 years. If my wife can get rid of me for a weekend, she usually will.
That's
I, you
fair.
know,
Yeah.
I I used to travel a decent amount for work. Like I spent about a week a month living out of a van or a hotel room. And with COVID and changing jobs a couple times, like I don't do that anymore. So getting rid of me for a few days isn't really a big deal to them. It works out that it's a weekend and it's kind of, planned when we were looking at it. It's a weekend. My kids don't have a tournament or anything. So everybody else is going to just kind of be home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not a big deal. Also, it's Friday afternoon to Sunday evening. Like it's not that
Okay.
long of a time. And we get enough time spent together. Like that's not a huge deal. My wife is very easygoing about that. And our kids are older. I mean, it helps a lot. My youngest is 14.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm leaving my wife home with, toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving Jerry credit about not coming to Nebraska because he's got a, not even 6 month old
Yeah.
baby. And like, I get it. That's part of why I retired when I did and didn't play for a long time was I had young
Yeah.
kids and young kids are work and young kids, especially when I had 3 kids at home, like you can only haul them so many places. And it's not fair to my wife to be like, huh, guess what, honey? 3 different places you get to go to. Go handle those while I play cards. But now they're old enough that that's not really an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife, you know, kicking me out for a weekend, she ain't gonna be crushed.
That's fair. So you mentioned Nebraska. Are you going to Nebraska to play in the Star Wars event?
I am actually. I went last year with Eric Garchow, ran a fun event with some prize support, and actually that
Okay.
when he ran it, my wife and kids were up at camp, so it was just me for the whole month at home, anyways. So I'm like, well, I got nothing better to do, so I drove down to Nebraska, and now he's running Bothwell Regionals this weekend on Saturday,
Oh, nice.
and I talked to my wife, and it's Father's Day weekend, so I kind of have a pass to, yeah, sure, fine. And my birthday falls right in the next week. So again, this is an
Mm-hmm.
easy one for me to. And she's like, no, if you want to go down, it's about a 7 hour drive from here. And I think at least one of the locals is coming with me. But, it's 7 hours of straight highway. So it's not really a bad drive. I drove it last year
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be a fun time to get out and play cards, and like I said, I don't get a ton of chances to play live.
Okay.
And especially with, like we have local live tournaments, but there's only, 4 or 5 in a year type thing.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton because, and part of that's still COVID's still a thing. We're all kind of being more cautious of that. So like our leagues have been a lot on GEMP, and this is a chance for me to, hey, I can go do this. And, you know, we have the time, drive down Friday, drive back Saturday after the tournament, and be fun.
Awesome.
So,
So, what are you thinking about playing this weekend? Like, I'm assuming you're not going to play something like a Mark Waltz at death. You're going to go a little bit more towards the meta.
probably. It's I used to, when I was really good at the game, I tended to play slightly off meta decks
Mm-hmm.
because I was never quite, I was never world championship level, but I did make a couple day threes, and usually it was by bringing something that other people weren't really thinking of. So I won and played some sort of off meta decks. I'm not back yet to the point where I know the meta well enough to go, okay, here's a weakness I can exploit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I'm ever going to be back to that point. I just don't have the time I used to have. So now I'm playing probably somewhat more, you know, more meta decks. We chat, I work with Batmouse and DJ Jackson, some people, and we kind of come up with different ideas and figure stuff out. So it's never going to be totally meta, but you know, it'll be fun. At the end of the day, it'll be fun to play.
So, what's it like working with Batmouse? Like, I'm on a team with him. I've worked with him over for the Endor Grand Prix. I want to hear your take on working with the Batmouse.
Batmouse is fun. I mean, Anthony's an awesome guy, and he and I, chat about barbecue and chat about different, foods and stuff, and just kind of chat. And he and I have very similar ideas in terms of kind of what we want to do with Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars. Like, we want to win and we want to do well, but I want to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And like, I'm absolutely, if you tell me, here's a deck that wins, 75% of the time, but it's a lot of fun, or a deck that wins 80% of the time, but you're going to hate yourself. I used to be well, I'll take the 80%. Now I'm much more in the, no, I'll take 75. Like, I want to enjoy my games. I want to have fun. And
Yeah.
I'm not out here to play, something that I don't want to play and sit and feel like I'm grinding. I want to, try and have fun and do something interesting, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I have done, it's fun to sit and chat decks and kind of talk over ideas. And it's a lot of kind of spitballing here's the initial idea. And like, he works well with me because like my deck building and ideas, I'm really good at that very initial idea. And then I'm really bad at the first 50 cards because I end up like tying myself into weird knots and trying to build like 8 card Lingrel and Walseth combos, and like, oh, if I get these 5 aliens together and these 3 interrupts in hand, look out! And it doesn't really work. So it's a lot of, here's this idea I'm thinking of, and then he comes back with like, 50 cards worth of it, or a deck, and we're like, okay, that's good. Now let's tweak these, 3 or 4 cards
Mm-hmm.
just for personal taste, and it works out well. And like I said, it's just fun to have somebody to throw up the occasional barbecue picture and get it back. And he was supposed to be potentially coming to Nebraska this week, and it just fell through. So I was kind of looking forward to, like, dude, he was going to fly into Minneapolis, like, dude, we're gonna have like 8 hours to drive and just bullshit. Like, this would be a blast, man.
Yeah, like going to it. Like, okay, I've known Batmouse since I got to California and it's everything. hanging out with him just in general is it's interesting. Like I do a fantasy football league with him. You think he's competitive with Star Wars? He's so much more competitive with that. Like, it just gets wild. Like the guy is always a wheeler and dealer. He always wants to tweak his stuff just a little bit more. So working with him with decks is just it can get frustrating a little bit because he's set in his ways. Like he loves his Batmall deck. Like I don't
Yep.
know why. And don't get me wrong, the deck's solid. Like it does a really
Oh,
good. It does its gimmick well.
yeah, and it was something he and I were, kind of both. We had the similar idea, and we're like, hey, what about trying something like this and playing it together? And like, he loves it, and it for me, it's always felt a little too combo. Like, I don't like decks that kind of fall apart. Like, if you miss a couple, you take an early, drain, and all right, well, you just lost, a ship and a pilot, but they don't match each other, so now you've got two more dead cards. Like, I hate that feeling as a player. Like I really want that consistency,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh well, there went slave one. Well, Fett's now worthless, or there went,
Yeah.
Saber one. So Baron Fell's now trash. Like I hate losing, I hate feeling that way. And that's where he and I think differ a little bit on the, on deck building. But I didn't know we were going to do a roast of Anthony. I'd have prepped a little more.
Oh, don't worry. I got to get you back on to do a roast of Bat Mouse at some point. Like,
I'll prep a little more, I'll prep some more material. We'll have some fun. He's
so
gonna hate us both so much watching this.
no, I don't think he will.
Or
Bat
he's
Mouse,
gonna laugh. One of the two.
he'll probably laugh. Like that's one thing about Bat Mouse is he rolls with the punches really well.
Yeah, I hope he will. If he doesn't, I'm probably gonna need a new team because I'm getting kicked off mine.
Nah, you won't. You won't. So
So
let's talk about a little bit about the venue. Is it the same venue that for Nationals as it has been for the last couple of events out there?
it is not. So one of the things we heard for the last couple of events, we ran at a Hyatt in Bloomington that was close-ish to the Mall of America, but everything was like a grab an Uber, wait for a shuttle type thing to get
Yeah.
there. Like it was, you were in suburban overbuilt hell.
Yeah.
And that was something Chris and I had talked about and said, there's a similar Hyatt right on the edge of downtown Minneapolis. It's walking distance from the Twin Stadium.
Okay.
It's walking distance from Loring Park, which is a super pretty park around here, and like the sculpture garden. And it's much more of a centrally located. Minnesota in July is actually usually pretty nice weather.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be warm, but it's not ridiculous usually. And that's something we've heard from players they really appreciate is being able to kind of go out and walk around and not be, we're no longer confined to the hotel. We want to be able to, hey, let's go get some food. All right, well, downtown Minneapolis has a lot of good food options.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think everyone will appreciate one of the weekends they gave us as an option was going to have a dance competition. And I know when we all started playing, when I started playing I don't want to do math now, 25 years ago, like he told me, oh, there's a dance competition. It's a bunch of, 18-year-old dancers walking around, sign me up. And then I heard that and I'm like 42 and going, a dance competition? It's gonna be a bunch of loud music and kids running around the halls, and I want none of that.
Yeah.
So my wife started cracking up when I told her that. I'm like, yeah, I'm old. Like,
Yeah,
this
I was
is
gonna
right
say
here.
we're all at this point now grumpy old Ben. Like we don't
Yeah,
like,
like I
there was a dance or competition or like a prom or something at one of the events. I want to say it was Worlds in DC last year, and thankfully it wasn't too loud.
I think that hotel in DC is just a huge. Everything goes on there.
Yeah.
Like that hotel is so big and it's got so much going on. Like I laughed when we were there because I got out of the elevator and some lady was doing bridal pictures in the vestibule with all the elevators. And she got pissed that I walked out through and I'm like, this is the only bank of elevators
Yeah.
in a 30-story hotel. What do you this isn't the spot to take pictures. Like,
No.
what's your expectation here? So yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. We're all kind of grumpy old men at this point and want to have our, I want to have my quiet. I want to play Star Wars. I want to drink some beers with my friends and
Hmm.
play games afterwards,
Yeah.
and then go to bed at a reasonable hour. Like, I am not going to Brian Hunter and sleep in the game room and save myself the hotel bill. Nope, I'm getting a hotel room and sleeping on a bed
Yeah.
and having a shower. Like, that is worth it to me now. And I joke about that with travel now. Like, I don't share hotel rooms with anymore.
Really.
Like, I remember going to Gen Con and we piled a dozen of us into the hotel room. And I think the last
Yeah.
one of the worlds in New Brunswick, one of the last one I went to before I retired, there was like four of us in the room. And now I'm like, I travel so much. I'm used to having my own space.
Hmm.
I like having my own space and my own setup. And it's worth it to me just to pay the hotel bill and have my own space. Like, oh, I could save $200 to split a hotel room. No, no. It's worth $200 to have my own shower. Like,
You wouldn't pay. You wouldn't let Batmouse stay with you for to take $200 off your bill.
no, I
Wow.
wouldn't let anyone. That's got nothing against Bad Mouse. I wouldn't let any of you stay with me to save $200 on my bill. Like, if I can't afford that $200, then I can't afford to go to Worlds.
That's fair.
You know, it's that's kind of my, like, if I'm gonna go to Worlds, this is what it's gonna take for me to go.
Hmm.
I either have the money to go or I don't. I'm not trying to cheap out and get there and be uncomfortable. Like, I like my space. I like my, I want to be able to walk into the room when I want to shut down and just be like, all right, I'm done. So
Yeah.
that's, but everybody's got their own thing. Like, I no shame for folks who like to share rooms and hang out with their friends. I'm old and that's not me. Like, so,
Yeah.
and
No.
speaking of hotel rooms, I think you got another 10 days or so till the room block falls off for nationals. So, cheap
Yeah.
plug. I think it goes through June 24th is the end of it. I actually have a phone meeting on Friday with the hotel to go through kind of the setup and how we want the room arranged to have
Hmm.
everything ready. Because I'm assuming we'll have the streaming folks coming out and streaming from there, hopefully, and we'll get
Hopefully.
it.
Hopefully we'll get
We'll
somebody.
see.
Yeah. Right now,
That's,
we're looking for volunteers to help with it. We might need like you to set it up, and hopefully we'll get somebody in there. But we'll let you know once we get more information regarding the streaming and everything. So, tell us a little bit like about the room and everything. How big is the room?
the room is about a 50 by 50 square.
Okay.
So it's 2,500 square feet. There should be more than enough room for everybody we want in there. I'm assuming we're going to have, a normal nationals. I figure we'll probably be looking at, 50-ish players. About what we had for Worlds, I'm hoping. And that
Hoping.
should fit just fine. Just fine in there. I mean, we got a few people already signed up, and I know there's a bunch of Minnesota folks who are planning to sign up. Walseth just sent something out that said if you sign up, you get free entry into his next local if you
Okay.
pre-register for nationals. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that'll get a few of them kind of
Yeah, because
off their butts, because that's, I know with tournaments a lot of the time, especially if you're talking about traveling, like, the more people who are pre-registered, the more people
yeah,
pre-registered.
because right now
So
you've
get
only
yourself
got seven.
pre-registered. Yeah, I know, and but we'll have. I'm assuming we'll have most of the locals playing,
Mm-hmm.
and that should be 15 to 20, depending on who all can show up. And we're really trying to kind of push the chat with the regional folks who are maybe live in like Wisconsin and coming over. Like, look, this is this isn't some glorified local. Like, this is a big tournament. This will be
Mm-hmm.
fun. And I'll come out and spend the weekend and hang out, and
Yeah.
you know, it'll be a good time. But yeah, we definitely cheap plug, get some pre-reg for this, guys, because the more names that are on the list, the more people who are on the fence add themselves to the list, and it'll
Mm-hmm.
be a fun time. So
Because there's a lot of good prizes. Like Jared he's already posted the prizes and everything. Looks like there's a lot of good ones. The pre-registration foil is the Mithril, which is a kind of a cool one because it's both sides and everything. Um, the main event for is the training course is borderless. So again, they're giving out more of those locations that are borderless. So a lot of good like stuff right there. And then I find it funny like there's two PC logo golf balls going to be given out. Like I don't know about I'm interested in that because I golf and I heard a rumor that you play frisbee golf. Is that true?
I do. I played regular golf in high school and actually got long time ago. I was fun employed for a little while, and one of my buddies called. He's like, "Hey, we should go try and play frisbee golf." And I'm like, "Dude, I work for a bank. Like, I got to pass a drug test. Like, I don't think I'm going to do this frisbee golf thing." He's like, "No, no, it's fun, man. I swear you can do it sober." Like, all right, we'll see what you got to say about that. And
Mm-hmm.
went out with him and had an absolute blast and played recreationally for quite a while. I haven't been able to play as much the last couple of years. I blew out a knee a couple of years ago doing it and slowed everything down a little bit, but it's a lot of fun, honestly. Like Jared and the whole prize support, everyone involved in that, that's been like the biggest thing for me coming back. When I was playing back in the day, it was always packs. Like the PC still had tons of packs, and
Yeah.
packs weren't, you know, they weren't the unobtainium they are now. Like now, I remember back in the day, like walking into place and be like, "Oh, Box of Reflections 3 for $75. Okay."
Yes, please.
And now
Yeah.
kicking myself now that I sold that one for $100 and didn't, hold on to it for 15 years and turn it into a house payment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've been, I'd been watching from the sideline and kind of, I don't know about how this, PC prize sport stuff is working, and having now gotten into it a little bit and seeing it, the foils are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
The AIs and stuff everybody's doing, the poker chips, the golf balls. Like I know Chris Menzel had some poker dealer buttons.
Yeah.
He was showing off at World. This stuff's gorgeous. Like we've got so many super talented graphics and idea people who are just putting together amazing stuff. It's fun to be a part of the community and see that, and like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have the physical cards anymore, but there's so much cooler. Like this is frankly so much cooler. Like even now, if it was like, oh, I could open a pack of cards, or I could open a pack of new foil V slips from the PC, I'll take the foil slips every time. Like they
Good.
just look so much cooler. So yeah, massive props to everybody who's been involved in that.
Maybe we'll have to get you some Holotheatre packs. Like you can play with Scott Lingrell as a Supreme Leader Snoke.
I saw somebody posted one of those on
Yeah.
Slack today. That was impressive. So
Apparently,
that's the one.
there was a. I need to proof those better. But yeah, no, like we'll have to get you some of those.
It's I love, I always loved back in the day autograph cards and stuff, and playing with
Mm-hmm.
foils and shiny cards, and like that's my thing. And so yeah, seeing all the new, the AIs and foil slips, I'm like, okay, somebody's doing good, because I remember right about the time I retired, that was something we were starting, but it was, I don't know how many of these we can do. I don't know how much foil paper we can get, and it was a legit like
Yeah.
concern. And then I, came back and I'm like, okay, suddenly we got some. This is cool. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I know Kevin Yop has been busting his butt to get us some good foil paper, and finally we have some good ones. And not only that, like he went out and found that sparkly, shiny star ones. Like those are really nice. So like,
Yeah, they've been
it's been weird. Like
it's been awesome.
yeah, like I remember back in the day, you'd go to a tournament and you'd be like, "Oh man, I got a foil Qui Gon with saber," like for participation. But now it's just like the cards are a little harder and everything. But now the PC, I feel like you said, is doing so much better with the prize support. Like I don't know how Jared is doing half the stuff he's doing, but it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed. Like I said, every time I see, in different a different, here's a big tournament, here's a unique card for that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many people who are putting in so much work, and it's just awesome to kind of sit and be able to take advantage of, everybody who's putting in that work. And that's part of, you asked, like, stepping back into that tournament role, like that's part of doing that, is wanting to help out and help
Yeah.
continue that, because I want I want all these folks too to know, hey, as players, we appreciate the hell out of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, y'all are doing amazing stuff. Seeing the donation tier stuff people were posting on Facebook the last couple of days with the uncut sheets and stuff. I'm like, this is cool. This is a lot of people doing a lot of good things.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you for joining us today, Garrett, and it has been a pleasure to talk to you. I know we talked a little bit at Worlds this past year, but it's great to sit down and talk to you about this, like upcoming nationals and everything. Hopefully, we get you some more players to show up. Uh, but hopefully,
Definitely. In fact, the next pre-register, you get a hug from me when you show up.
I mean,
Say this is
you know what? I want to pre-register just for that, but I mean, unfortunately, I don't think I can show up just because life.
all right. Well, I mean, you're missing out on hugs. That's what I gotta
Believe me,
say.
I know.
No promise on if it's foil or not. I haven't gotten that, got that through, but we'll make something happen. But yeah, Nationals is going to be a blast. It's a beautiful hotel space right in downtown Minneapolis. If you haven't had a chance, if you haven't ever visited downtown Minneapolis, you haven't had a chance to come out and see, there's a lot of awesome restaurants and a lot of fun places to go. I know, like, Friday, there's going to be a team tournament. I know they're also, Casey's putting together an outing to see the Twins, who last I checked were leading the AL Central and playing some pretty good baseball. Like, it's it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
People should come out and have fun. Have fun playing Star Wars and have fun, being old, grumpy old men and doing the fun stuff outside of Star Wars too, and playing board games and hanging out. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, you have a great night, man.
You too. Again, thank you for
I
coming
will.
on, and
Thank you for having me. And we'll see you again, man.
yep, take care of yourself, Garrett.
You too.
Bye. Okay, everybody. So thank you for sticking around, and big thank you for Garrett for coming on earlier this week to do that interview. Again, Garrett will be our TD at Nationals this year. He'll be hosting the event all weekend long. So looking forward to seeing Garrett there. Again, I probably won't be there, but I'll be there in spirit, hopefully. So we have 5 people entered into the chance to win a free entrance into a live Star Wars event. This is the last call for that. So if you want a chance to win a free entry into any live in-person Star Wars event, please make sure you say hi in chat right now. This is the last call before we give out that prize. And I'll wait here a few seconds. And then... Okay. So it looks like that's all we're going to have for tonight. So we have 5 people that entered, as I just said. So what we will do is I have the Excel file right here with all 5 people. Gray Chevy Van, Jeep Girl 757, Javoski, Kiss My Wookie, and Friend Basil. So I'll spin the wheel essentially 5 times. Once we get to the after the 5th one, that will be our winner. And I will be going from top to bottom essentially. So Gray Chevy Van, you're first, and Bill, you're number 5. So just to clarify. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our winner is Bill Kafer. So congrats to Bill for winning that little prize, and big thank you to let's see who gave it away. I'm trying to remember. Nick Gorski. So big thank you to Nick for giving out that free entrance. So Bill, congratulations. Jared is watching, so hopefully he'll be like, oh well, Bill won. I got nothing. So next week, I'm hoping to get all the Jedi creator himself, idea track on. Probably going to be another pre-recorded interview, so hopefully we'll get him on. I believe he is a few hours ahead of us, so again, like I said, it will be a pre-recorded interview, but we'll have more Holotheatre next week, so make sure you stay tuned, and have a nice weekend, and as always, may the force be with you. I'll see everybody next week. Take care.